A very good morning to my dear students. In the last class, we had a discussion about reported speech, or we just started a discussion on reported speech, the rules regarding the conversion of sentences from direct speech to indirect speech or direct speech to reported speech. And we have already completed 4 rules regarding the conversion. Now let us move to the next rule. While reported questions show many of the changes in reported statements, there is one important difference. Question in reported speech do not take an introductory that. So the rule is very simple. Please read. While reported questions show many of the changes in reported statements, pronouns, tense, modals, etc., there is one important difference. Questions in reported speech do not take an introductory that. That means, while converting all those sentences into reported speech, we use an introductory word. What is that? We use an introductory word that. See, for example, Ajit says that they are going home. So, in every sentence there will be an introductory word, and if you convert a question, we never use such introductory word. That is the rule. So, look at the example. When did you reach summit? Asked the reporter. The reporter asked them when they had reached the summit. So, there will be no that there. We can't find an introductory word that there in the example. So, that is actually the rule. Then the next rule is questions that begin with a question word retain the question word in the indirect form. Questions that do not begin with a question word are introduced by if or whether. So, it can be better explained with another definition. So, please note this definition. 2 changes will be occurred while we are converting a question into reported speech. The first change is the reported speech is introduced by words expressing questions. Okay, and what are they? Asked, enquired, or inquired, all those come there. Okay, then the second change is if there is no interrogative word. And what is interrogative word? The reporting verb is followed by whether or if. Okay, 2 changes you have to be very thorough while converting questions into reported speech. The first one is the reported speech is introduced by words expressing questions. We have to use words expressing questions such as asked, enquired, inquired, etc. And if there is no interrogative word you all know why, when, which, the words which we use to make questions. So, if there is no interrogative word, for example, will you come tomorrow? Okay, will you come tomorrow is actually a question, but even though it is a question, we can't find an interrogative word there. So, when converting such questions into reported speech, what is the thing? The reporting verb is followed by whether or if. We have to use whether or if. Now, we can look at the example. Why is the oxygen mask malfunctioning? He asked. So, look at the sentence. Here is a question word. So, the reported speech is introduced by word expressing questions asked, inquired. So, how can we start the sentence? Yes, he asked. So, there will not be an introductory word that. We do not need to include an introductory word that here. Okay. So, he asked means it is actually a question. So, when it will be changed into reported speech, we use a word. So, we use the reported speech is introduced by words expressing asked or inquired etc. Okay, etc. So, that is why we use the word asked here. He asked. Then look at the sentence. Why is the oxygen mask malfunctioning? So, why is the oxygen mask malfunctioning? It is written in which tense? It is written in present continuous. So, this present continuous will be changed into which tense? Its corresponding past tense. Which is the corresponding past tense of present continuous? Past continuous. So, how will be the sentence? He asked why the oxygen mask is malfunctioning becomes was malfunctioning. Okay. So, this is the change will be. And going to the other example, what is the other example? Does it always malfunction? Is it? She asked. So, the first thing you have to notice is that in reporting questions, the reported speech is introduced by words expressing questions, and the question word is itself here asked. Then, and what is the second thing you have to do? If there is no interrogative word, the reporting verb is followed by whether or if. Look at the sentence. Does it always malfunction? So, here we can't find an interrogative word here. Even though an interrogative word is absent here, it is considered as a question. In such cases, what do we have to do? The reporting verb is followed by whether or if. We have to use whether or if. Then tell me how the sentence will be. Yes, she asked. So, does it always malfunction is actually a sentence in simple present. So, it will be changed into its corresponding past tense. So, it always malfunction is actually in simple present and it will be changed to simple past. So, she asked if it always malfunctioned. Okay. Now, let us move to the next rule. So, please read the next rule. Indirect questions are different from direct questions in another way. In an indirect question, the subject goes before the verb as in a statement. Can I use your oxygen mask? She asked. She asked if she could use his oxygen mask. So, please go through this rule. In an indirect question, the subject goes before the verb. Now, look at the example. Can I use your oxygen mask? can I use your oxygen mask? She asked. How the sentence will be in reported speech? She asked. So it is actually a question. So in the last discussion we had seen that in reporting questions the reported speech is introduced by word expressing question. So this word is a word expressing question, and if there is no interrogative word we have to use whether or if. So now look at the sentence, how the sentence will be. She asked, then she asked, then here there is no interrogative word, so we have to use whether or if. She asked if I stands for whom? I stands for she. So she asked if she can becomes could. She could use his oxygen mask. His oxygen mask. So look at the example. Can I use your oxygen mask? She asked. So when we convert this into reported speech, she asked if she could use his oxygen mask. That is what here it is said that in an indirect question the subject goes before the verb. Here the subject is always preceding the verb. She could. So this can I becomes she could hear. So here the subject is preceded by could. That is what it is said that the subject goes before the verb. Subject goes before the verb. Okay. So this she is subject is preceded by verb. So it can be better explained with another example. Look at this example. Who is the lucky woman? Who is the lucky woman? Who is the lucky woman? So when this sentence will be changed into reported speech, how the sentence will be? Who the lucky woman is. So that is what it is said that in an indirect question the subject goes before the verb. Here woman is subject and woman goes before the verb. So this is actually the meaning of this rule. And now we can go to the next rule. The next rule is questions with will, can or could can sometimes be a little tricky. Why it is said that? So will, can or could are actually using in a requesting manner or in a polite manner. So in converting such sentences there is another rule. So I can give a definition which is not in the textbook. So you have to note this. In reporting commands and request. In reporting commands and requests, the reported speech is introduced by which words, which kind of words? Introduced by words expressing what it might be, words expressing commands and request. Commands and request, such as commands and requests, such as, tell me, such as commanded, ordered, then requested, etc. And one more change will be there. Imperative mood is changed into the infinitive. Imperative mood is changed into infinitive mood. And what do you mean by imperative mood? See, for example, stand up. Stand up is actually in which mood? Imperative mood. May I come in, sir? This is actually in which mood? Imperative mood. So, commands, requests are always in which mood? Imperative mood, and this imperative mood will be changed into infinitive. Infinitive means 2 plus verb forms. Okay, 2 plus verb forms. So, two changes will be there. First of all, we have to introduce the reported speech using words expressing commands and requests, such as commanded, ordered, requested. Then the imperative mood is changed into infinitive. So, do not be confused. It will be easily understood when we are doing an exercise. Look at the first example. Will you help me, please? Will you help me, please? Will you help me, please? Is actually a what? A request. The reported speech should be introduced by a requesting word. Then the sentence will be he, then the word expressing request. How it will be? Requested. He requested. Will you help me? Actually, in which form? Imperative form or imperative mode, and this will be changed into infinitive form. Infinitive form means the 2 plus verb forms. So, he requested. So, will you help me? This imperative mood will be cut, and we have to change it into infinitive mood. Infinitive mood means 2 plus verb forms. So, he requested to help, will you please? This is actually the request, the imperative mood, and this imperative mood will be changed into the infinitive mood. That means 2 plus verb forms. Okay. Similarly, look at the second example. Could you please stand in the queue? And look at the third example. Could you take my son home? So, look at the first two examples. The first two examples are actually request. That is what we followed this rule. When going to the third one, it is actually a real question. Answer is probably yes or no. The first two are polite requests phrased as questions. So, even though it is a question, it is a polite request. Okay. So, that is what we followed this rule. Which rule? Using a word expressing request and also changing the imperative mood into infinitive. And when you take the third example, the last is probably a real question, to which the answer could be yes or no. Third one is actually a real question. So, while converting real questions, we have to apply the rule that we discussed earlier. Hope you remember that. In reporting questions, the reported speech is introduced by verb expressing question, and if there is no interrogative word, we have to use whether or if. So, now look at the example. Will you take my son home? So, even though this is a polite question, it is a real question. So, we have to follow the rule which we discussed earlier, the rule regarding the conversion of question into reported speech. So that is why we are using a word expressing question. He asked, and the speaker is actually speaking to or asking to me. So, he asked me, then here there is no interrogative word. So, we have to use if. He asked me if, you become I, if I could take, and my becomes, my is actually that other person. So, my becomes his. So, he asked me if I could take his son home. So, this is actually the rule is all about. So, now please take page number 27. There are some exercises you have to do. Imagine you have just returned home after your first day at school in class 8. Your grandmother asks you several questions and you tell your friend the same evening what your grandmother asked you. Rewrite each question in reported speech. The first one has been done for you. So, these are all questions your grandmother asked to you after you came back from your school, and there are 9 sentences and you have to 9 questions and you have to go through all those questions and you have to convert it into reported speech. The first is done for you. Did you have a good day? So, we can take the first example. Did you have a good day? Did you have a good day? Okay. So, the grandmother is asking to whom? The grandmother is asking to you or me. So, we can say that it is a question. So, we have to use word expressing question. So, grandmother asked me. It's asking me. Then here we can't see interrogative word. So, we have to use which word? If or whether. She asked me if. Did you have a good day? If I had a good day. So, similarly, you have to go through all the 8 questions and you have to convert it into reported speech. And now, look at the next one. Complete the following letter. Put in the reported speech forms of the questions given on the next page. The first one has been done for you. So, please turn over the page, and there are 5 questions in direct speech are given there, and you have to change it into reported speech. So, we discussed earlier that while converting questions into reported speech, the subject always goes before what? Subject always goes before verb. Okay. So, we can take the first example. Who is the lucky woman? So, in converting indirect questions, the subject goes before the verb. The subject goes before the verb. Then how the sentence will be? Who the lucky woman is. So, in that way you have to change the other 4 questions into indirect speech or into reported speech. I think this is enough for today, because as you all know, this is grammar and a little bit confusing for all of you. So, I think this is enough for today. Hope that you understood every rules we discussed today, and you have to go through the exercise, you have to go through the homework I gave today itself, and after writing or after completing those homework, you can send it to me. So, if you have any doubts regarding the points we discussed, you can ask me at any time. Okay. It is better to enter to the other portion after clarifying all the doubts. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Have a nice day.